Hi, everybody. This is Aaron Mesh with Willamette Week. This evening, it's my pleasure to be joined by Elias Stahl and Gaia Giladi. Did I pronounce that right? Sorry, I may have
You
messed
got
it
it.
up.
You got
I got
it.
it. All right, great. Uh, they're with Hilos, and Hilos is the winner of the 2020 Pitch Fest Northwest competition. What is Hilos?
Well, thanks, Aaron. Hilos is zero waste additive footwear. So we are pioneering a new way to make footwear in the industry, as well as a new way for consumers to shop. We got tired of what we saw as an inadequate and slow and wasteful way to manufacture goods, where we're making thousands at a time, hoping they one day sell. Impersonal and wasteful production. Instead, Hilos makes tailored, personalized shoes on demand using zero waste and no inventory.
So, in other words, you make made-to-order high heels out of what? Cornstarch? What are you using? It looks like cornstarch in the video, which is why I ask.
So it's a TPU material, which is a newly developed polymer, specifically has the performance and endurance of a midsole from a running shoe. Nike and Adidas are introducing them in very limited quantities, but we're bringing that to fashion footwear. So it's the performance, the durability, and the customization that we're just beginning to see in sportswear, but in a segment of the industry that's starved for it.
So, not sneakers. You're looking at all the shoes I see that you're producing have heels.
Well, so we don't just do heels. For example, we're working with Helm on a slipper for next year. But all of our shoes are premium and luxury, right? So if you break the model down into two, you have your athletic wear on one side, and you've got anything that's leather, a little bit more high performing when it comes to kind of style and fashion. And we're focusing on that corner of the industry where there's much less innovation and more demand for better materials, higher performance, more comfort, and lastly, sustainability.
So, Gaia, how did you all come up with this idea?
Well, it was actually originally Elias that thought of it a couple years back. Um, and he was at a New York tech week and saw 3D printing and just basically, Elias probably tells it better, but he saw the innovation and customization that can happen with 3D printing, and just imagine that shoes are where it's needed most. I think too, a little part of that story is seeing how many returns his wife, Kristen, was making with her shoes and kind of seeing all these boxes go in and out the door. And it was just so ineffective, inefficient. And, when he told me about his idea to make 3D printed custom shoes, I was all in because my background's in fashion design. I've never designed a shoe in my life, but I was super excited about the idea because I got really into 3D printing back when I was still in college, and finding out about 3D printing and the possibilities in design. You can literally make anything you want. Really excited me. So it was kind of a perfect partnership.
And Aaron, we both moved to Portland just to build Hilo. So Gaia was in fashion before and out in LA. I was in DC working for fashion for Fortune 100 brands on software. And we were both tired of what we saw as a golden opportunity that just wasn't being seized. Everyone was talking about new ways to make and new ways to ship and new ways to build that had sustainability at its core. But it was just a lot of talk at the high levels. It was more of a PR marketing function. And so we said, well, if people aren't going to take this technology and run with it, we'll do it. And Portland's the place to do it.
Why was Portland the place to do it? What do we have that other places don't when it comes to 3D printing shoes?
Well, Portland's the capital of footwear in America. So, I mean, when it comes to legacy footwear, when it comes to where you want to go to make shoes anywhere in America today, it's going to be Portland. But one thing that a lot of Portlanders might not know is Portland also sits at the intersection of the pillars of what will be this future industry: 3D printing, generative design. You've got HP in Southern Washington, Autodesk on the east side in Portland. So this is at the intersection of the old industry and the tools that will create a new industry, and it's an exciting time to be here for it.
Guy, what was your reaction to winning?
Exactly the same as what Elias just said. And I think for me, something that I realized a little bit after the hype kind of started to fade a little bit. It's really cool that a fashion footwear company won Tech Fest. I don't know that that's ever happened, and I'm like really proud that that's us.
Why is that cool?
Because there isn't much tech happening in our industry. It wouldn't have been as cool if it was a sneaker company, because Adidas and Nike do that day in, day out, which is amazing. And I have so much respect for it. But there's something missing when it comes to comfortable fashion footwear, like high heels, booties. I'm sure, like in men's Oxfords, dress shoes, things like that. I feel like that tech element is missing that you get in your like 3D printed Adidas midsole, and your Nike fly print Nike sneaker, but you just don't get it in your like shoes that you wear to elevate yourself, feel good every day, feel professional. Um, and so to me, that's really exciting.
Is this a gender gap thing a little bit, where like or a lot of the emphasis in tech is on things men want?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think for sure it is subconsciously. There's It's crazy the gap, or the difference between how many men are in the tech industry and how many women are in the tech industry, and I can imagine that that just plays into the products that come out. If a man is making tech products, why would he think to make a high heel more comfortable? I also just think there's a really it's more high barrier to get into fashion footwear. Like as we found out, it's not easy making high heels. There's a lot of engineering that goes into it, um, and so I think it's just a little bit harder.
What's something about your company that would surprise people? I think almost everything about your company probably has some element of surprise for people, but is there something that you think stands out as really unexpected about what you do?
I mean, I'm happy to answer that, but Guy, do you have, what do you think?
My mind is still turning. I mean, I talk about our company day in day out to all our audiences and things like that. So in my mind, they know it all. But what do you think, Elias?
I think I'm a history nerd at heart, and one of the things that I still love about the Georgia and what it embodies with our approach is that we really had to look into pre-industrial ways of making shoes in order to make the first post-industrial shoe. And for us, that meant looking back at string lasting, ancient forms of shoemaking that were used prior to mass manufactured tooling that currently is how every shoe is made. And that enabled us to get something that could be bespoke, that could be custom, that could be tailored, but with the scale and speed of digital. So that's really exciting to me. And that I think is an approach we hope to take in other footwear lines.
Okay, let me think about how to ask this. So are these shoes basically recycled?
They're recyclable. So if you send them back to us, we're actually able to disassemble the pieces very easily. And each of the components can then be renewed essentially and repurposed. So the two main components are the leather and the TPU that's 3D printed. And so we've invented, back to what Elias was saying about string lasting, we had to look back at this post or pre-industrial method of making shoes in order to make them, this recyclable essentially, because if you look at shoes, how shoes are made now, they're all glued together. And so if you tried to take it apart, you probably could, but there's going to be pieces that are still glued together and you'll never be able to do anything with it. And so they're essentially waste. Um, and so what we do is we take those components apart. Our leather goes to our partners who actually chemically reduce that leather, and make it into, they like blend it with other leather scraps and they make it into new leather. It's this really awesome new process that they've invented. And then with the platform, the heel itself, that's made out of TPU, can actually be ground back up into its original form, and used to make new products.